Mr. President, on behalf Mr. President, on behalf of the nation's mayors and the United States Conference of Mayors, as the CEO and Executive Director, I hereby install you as the 72nd President of the United States Conference of Mayors, and with this gavel, give you the authority to govern our organization over the coming months. Congratulations.
Right. Thanks, Tom. We're going to get over here with a gavel shot, right here. All right, everybody. Hello, how are you doing? I want to thank you very much for coming out. Let me first of all thank Tom Cochran, our CEO. He and his staff have done a great job for the U.S. Conference of Mayors over the years. So if you wouldn't mind, let's give Tom Cochran and the staff a round of applause. I also want to take a moment to thank Scott Smith. He can't be with us today. As many of you know, he is stepping down as mayor of Mesa to run for governor in the great state of Arizona. And he's done a great job as our president. So even though he's not here, if we can just give him a round of applause for his leadership. I want to also thank our second vice president, Stephanie Rawlings Blake. She'll be bumping up tomorrow to first vice president out of Baltimore. And I will tell you that both Baltimore and D.C. are cities on moves, and it looks like they're going to have two women running both of those cities and those connecting communities, which would be great for a diverse voice to be heard. I'd also like to thank my wife, Michelle. We can give Michelle a round of applause. Now, we have a lot of elected officials here, so let me first thank Senator Gaines and Senator Mitchell. If you're both here, can you stand real quick? Let's give Senator Mitchell and Senator Gaines a round of applause. And then we have some members of the Assembly in the House. I'm really excited that we have Cheryl Brown here. Is she still here? All right, what I'm going to do is rattle off all the names, and we'll do one big thank you for them. We also have a lot of regional mayors here. We have Mayor of Davis, Mayor Howe, Mayor Powers of Auburn, Mayor Aguilar Curry, and Mayor Dahlmeyer from Oroville. Can they stand and give them one more round of applause? We have some former mayors here. You saw them in the video. I'm not going to say they look younger and had more hair, but nonetheless, I'd like Mayor Wellington Webb and Mayor Palmer to stand up as well. I'm not even going to poke fun at you two. I want to thank my comrade and my partner in crime, the one and only Chris Cabaldin from West Sacramento. Yeah. And then we got Mayor Becker, who flew in from Salt Lake City. Wait a minute, I saw him in the reception. He's throwing elbows at me, and I'm thinking that's exactly what John Stockton used to do. Give a round of applause for Mayor Becker from Salt Lake City. You know, the one thing I think you'll know that these mayors, we just have great relationships. We're all part of a team. We all feel like we feed off each other. And I asked Mayor Lee from San Francisco if he wouldn't mind coming up. He said, absolutely. He said, the Golden State Warriors playoffs don't start till next year, and I'll be glad to come to a King game and see how you guys end the season. Let's give a round of applause for Mayor Lee. We also have Dr. Pan, and thank you, Dr. Pan, and we have Assemblymember Dickinson here. We'll give them both a round of applause. Stand up, keep standing. For those who don't know, they're running against each other, so we thought we'd sit them next to each other for harmony. And then last but not least, I'd like all the council members that represent the great city of Sacramento to please stand. We got Alan Warren, Vice President, Jay Chenier, Steve Cohn. City Manager, stand on up, and our City Manager. So thank you very much. So as you can see, we have this big collective of folks that are here, and this event wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the sponsors. So I too want to just echo what Tom Cochran said. To all the sponsors, I want to thank you for what you've done, and future sponsors. I see Blair here from Starbucks. Can we give all of our sponsors one more round of applause? So my remarks won't be long. I want to let you get on with the rest of your day. Let me just say this, that it is a big deal being a mayor. It's a big deal holding this distinct honor of being the America's mayor and the voice of mayors for this year. I don't take it lightly at all. And I'm just really pumped and excited that I'm able to assume office here in Sacramento, my hometown. And I owe it to the great city of Sacramento and all those who voted for me to put me in this position. It's an honor. And I'm going to do my best to serve my constituents very well here in Sacramento. And who would ever thought a poor kid from Oak Park would rise to be the mayor of Sacramento and then be in a position to represent America's mayor. So that's a heartfelt thank to all of you here today as well. So I'm going to make 3 points, and I think most of you know this. When you think about mayors in metropolitan cities, we just issued a report not too long ago, and it shows that 90% of GDP and wage income are generated in our cities and metro economies around the country. 90%. 86% of all jobs are created in cities and metro economies around the country, and 94% of future economic growth are in cities and metro economies. It's telling us that if you want to get something done, you have to start with cities. And the neat thing about mayors, and I'm going to talk about a few of them in a moment, but the neat things about mayors, we don't want to be on the sidelines. We don't want to wait on Washington to solve our problems. We don't want to point fingers. We don't have time to deal with the bickering that goes back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. We don't have that luxury. We have a responsibility to get things done at the local level, and there's tons of mayors here today that certainly represent that. But I wanted to give you some context so you would know, in terms of a data standpoint, the role that cities and metro economies play. Let me give you this. If you look at the top 100 economies in the world, cities make up 37 of them. Cities make up 37 of the top 100 economies in the world. New York, the 13th largest economy. Los Angeles, the 20th largest economy. Chicago, the 23rd largest economy. So as you can see, we talk about California and being the state capital and California being the 7th or 8th largest economy in the world. Yes, it's a big deal for us, but cities are also, some cities are bigger than states and some cities are bigger than countries. So cities have this tremendous opportunity to move the needle in a real way. So I thought, in terms of my comments today, I talk about 3 things. 1, a pro-growth agenda. I want all of us to know that in my year, in a few months, you're going to see a pro-growth agenda. America's cities are the drivers when it comes to economic growth. It's also when the president of this organization talks about moving the agenda forward, it has to be about job creation. It has to be about economic development. If we're not doing those 2 things at this point in time, then we're not doing our job. And all mayors agree on that, whether you're a Democrat or whether you're a Republican. We're going to talk about a new growth model this year, where skilled labor and knowledge workers come together, where universities and technical schools come together, where we talk about quality infrastructure and high-speed internet. We're going to bring all those together as a network to talk about these things: manufacturing, innovation, and technology. That's what we mean by a new growth model. That's what we mean by a pro-growth agenda. These are the type of things that create public-private partnerships, certainly to create jobs. And the last part that I wanted to talk about in this pro-growth agenda, and you guys have heard this time and time again, cities are the engine. We're the laboratory for this change and prosperity. And every mayor in this room today and mayors around this country are committed to a pro-growth agenda. So that's point one. Point two, mayors, we get things done. That's the beauty of mayors. And I said that and I alluded to it earlier in my remarks. But we don't have time. We don't care. We're not going to wait on Washington to solve our problems. We go back to D.C. on a regular basis, and I mean, we leave there going, holy crap. Whoops. Sorry. Holy moly. And we think about it that I just don't know if the folks in Washington could get the things done. I don't know if they could make the decisions that create the opportunity for robust economies to thrive. I'm just not sure. And that's the neat thing about mayors. You saw that video where the messages were the same for mayors for the last 50, 60, 70 years, that we believe we're where the rubber meets the road. We're the ones who have to make it happen. So when I think about getting things done, every day mayors across this nation are working for the people they represent. And I'm going to highlight a couple examples. When you think about major transit investment, that's happening in Denver, it's happening in LA. When you're talking about modernizing ports, that's happening in Miami, Jacksonville, Dallas, and West Sacramento. Mayors are not waiting. We can't afford to wait. That's what I mean by we have to get things done. We're investing in real ways. There's cities in Northeast Ohio, Akron, Cleveland, and Youngstown. They're working with their manufacturing companies to figure out ways to make them more innovative and to make them relevant and to retool what it should look like going forward for this new demand. Yes, we need some federal dollars. That's great. But you know what? We need sizable investment from our philanthropic communities to make those happen. That's what we mean by public-private partnerships. So that's happening in a real way as well. Right here in San Francisco, we have our mayor. He said, I'm going to bring the business community and our nonprofits together, and we're going to try to figure out a way to create jobs for young people. And last summer, Mayor Lee in San Francisco created 6,000 jobs for young people. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Mayor Ballard from Indianapolis is not here today, and he did something which is really neat. When we talk about mayors being action-oriented, mayors being innovative, Mayor Ballard said, we are too dependent on oil. So he developed a policy to convert his entire fleet of cars in Indianapolis to electric vehicles. His entire fleet of cars to electric vehicles. John Shirey, city council members, we're going to copy that. Because that's a smart thing to do. When you talk about sustainability, when you're talking about being smart, when you're talking about being less dependent on foreign oil, these are the things that mayors can do, and we don't have to wait on Washington. That's what I mean by getting things done. We are not waiting. In Houston, they've created neighborhood centers connecting new immigrants with low-cost job opportunities, banking opportunities, childcare, and healthcare. These are mayors. These are mayors that are CEO of communities saying, we cannot wait. We are going to get things done. And then we have a host of new mayors that are coming in. The mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Boston, and the mayor of New York City. They are getting together, and they're rookies, so I can have them do things that I don't want to do, which is kind of cool. So we're going to have them focus on income equality. We're going to have them focus on this notion of poverty and how we can make sure that our early childhood education and these wage opportunities are fair for everybody. So this is business and labor working together. It's everybody coming together, Democrats and Republicans, on a collective agenda to move our cities forward around this country. And then Mayor Becker, who has a really cool program, is called Mountain Accord. And he's tying together his valleys and his mountains. He's bringing them together, and they're talking about transportation, water, and recreation. That is what we mean by innovative. It's what we mean by action. So if you wouldn't mind giving all those mayors just one round of applause for what they're doing. So how does this benefit Sacramento? And this is my last point. Yes, I care about all mayors around the country. I care about the U.S. Conference of Mayors, but I care a little bit more about what happens in Sacramento. So let me give you a couple. When I was elected to serve the city of Sacramento, I felt that this job in Sacramento would be one that I would put my heart and soul in. I never dreamed that it would expand and allow me to be a voice for mayors around this country. So the three things that I think are important for us in Sacramento to know is that, number one, being president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, it will allow me to now cement our relationships with the White House. It would allow me to cement our relationships with Congress and other federal agencies. That's a big deal for us in Sacramento. We have a water bill. We're trying to get our levees stronger. Because I am president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I get a chance to lobby for all mayors around this country and issues that are important for them. But I also get to talk about our floods and our levees and making them strong and creating a bipartisan resolution where we can finally lift our moratorium here in Sacramento. So that's one real example. Thanks, Dr. Penn. Number two, serving in this role, I get a chance to boost our opportunity to leverage relationships with CEOs. When you're in this position, every CEO in the country wants to talk to the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So my first hat, as I talk about it as it relates to the whole U.S. Conference of Mayors and moving that agenda forward, but then also it allows me to give a sales pitch for Sacramento. Because these businesses, they create jobs, they bring resources. So that's a second benefit that we're going to have in Sacramento, and you're already starting to see that take place. There's been a few Fortune 500 company CEOs that are now going to visit Sacramento where we get a chance to put our best foot forward and share what we're doing here in Sacramento. And then lastly, it will bring a great deal of national exposure. That is meaningful for our community. Yes, we're the capital of California. We're talking about heading a group that naturally highlights everything we're doing in Sacramento. In the last few years, I'm very proud to say that we cut crime by 1/3. We finally wiped out our budget deficit, and our unemployment rate is going in the right direction. We get a chance to tell our story in Sacramento. That's a big deal, and the constituents in our community certainly get it, and they realize firsthand that those are three benefits that we have for Sacramento. So in closing, I'll just say this. It's an honor to be a mayor. If I could choose any job in this country, I think I speak on behalf of all mayors. This is the job we would want because it's meaningful. We have personal contact with the people that we get a chance to interact with on a daily basis. And it's not about being a Democrat. It's not about being a Republican. We care less about R's and D's than the quality of life and what our community and our citizens need. So on behalf of Sacramento, God bless you, and let's have some fun. Tom, are we adjourned? What happened? I want to thank my mom and my grandma at those tables. Thank you both. All right, thank you, Sacramento. Mayor Jimmy Yee. Mayor Lee, I didn't see you back there. Mayor Yee, Mayor Bernadette Miller. Wait, give those two mayors a round of applause. I didn't see them.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And Mayor Johnson, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Awesome. Good job. How do you feel about it? Good. Good. That's great. Thank you for my...